Yeah, well, it all started in 1947. I was managing, at that time, a roller rink on Barton Street. It was the old Barton Street Arena. That was, if you know where it was. These promoters come in the old days back then, to advertise a band. They used to come in with window cards. Beautiful 3-4 color jobs telling you where the band's going to be playing. These people come in with a stack of these cards and said they want to rent the arena for one night for the name band that I was saying. Yeah. No, I'd like to get the name.
Oh, I don't know the name of
the original band, Glenn Miller.
Oh, Glenn Miller.
Yeah. We were doing good business with the roller rink, so we didn't want to rent it out. So they had a contract for that particular date. So they said, look, you can have the contract, take it off our hands, which we did. Well, the night was so successful that we continued to. The next band we booked was a band with 2 female singers who were the first time on the road. Rosemary Clooney and her sister Betty. It was the first time. Then from there it went to Tommy Dorsey, Benny Goodman, Lionel Hampton, Louis Armstrong, and on and on and on. And then about a few years later, the bars in Hamilton, or bars came into existence in Ontario. And Hamilton started out with a couple of new bars. And with the bars, they were using entertainment. So then I got into booking lounge groups. And that went on until one day in 1957, I got a call from a buddy of mine in New York. He was stuck, one of his groups were fired on a job in Washington. Could I book him in Hamilton until he got organized again? I booked him. That man turned out to be Conway Twitty. And of course, it was the change of his life and my life, because he wrote his first big million seller right here in Hamilton. And from Conway, I asked him, does he have any bands similar to his back in Arkansas? And he recommended Ronnie Hawkins. So the next year, 1958, I brought Ronnie Hawkins and his band to Hamilton. And his life never changed since. So that went on for a few years. And then, and at this time, I had my office in the Royal Connaught Hotel. Geez, I tell you, I must be getting Alzheimer's.
No, you had your office in the hotel, at the Royal Connaught Hotel.
Yeah. Yeah, and then one morning, about 9 o'clock, which was early for musicians, there's 5 musicians waiting for me, the Hawkins' band, waiting for me in the lobby of the Connaught Hotel, and told me they left Hawkins, would I come back and book them again, which I agreed. And after a while of booking them, one of the jobs I booked them into was in Somers Point, New Jersey. And it was there that a representative of Bob Dylan's office caught them and told their management, Albert Grossman and Dylan, about the group. Anyway, Dylan come in, he liked what he heard, and they were with him on world tours for almost 2 years. That was about it, and I was with them until 1983, which was our last tour in Japan, when my wife had taken sick and I decided to It was.
What was the song that Conway Twitty wrote?
Only Make Believe.
Only Make Believe.
Yeah.
I know it.
Do you?
Because it's only
Make believe. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. All
That's
this.
quite a
If
career.
I'd have known what you're looking for, I'd have tried to think things out beforehand. But you know, maybe I'll get some ideas from in here. This was that was an award I got last year from the Hamilton Musicians.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
there's an award for Harold Kudlats.
Yeah.
Wow.
My nephew, Eugene Levy, he came in from Hollywood. He presented that. I didn't know he was going to be there. And he presented. That was the night that he was there. Yeah. I don't know if there's anything. See, I'd have tried to refresh my memory a little bit. Well,
No, but I think you did very well.
Yeah. Well.
Here you've got Dylan.
Oh yeah.
Do you have that original photograph of you and Bob Dylan?
That's it. Well, I don't have the. Where is it? I've got it someplace. I have that picture. Yeah, I have it. Just 1 second. Let me see. I could. These were all the acts that I booked, and some of them are still going, like Bo Diddley.
Bo
Yeah,
Diddley,
sure, yeah,
he's not
yeah.
alive. Is he still alive?
Oh yeah, sure. The one that died today was Ike Turner.
Yesterday.
Yesterday? Yeah.
Yeah, he died yesterday.
Yeah.
This is Danny the Junior.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. The Diamonds, did they sing Little Darling?
Yeah, that's the one.
How's it
You
go?
see?
Oh, little
See?
darling,
Yeah.
dum 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 dum, oh little darling. The Soul Brothers, Chubby Checker.
Yeah. See?
Bo Diddley.
Yeah. Well, it's.
Fats
See,
Domino.
yeah.
And Benny King. The Dell Vikings.
Yeah.
Little Anthony and the Imperials.
Yeah. That's funny. I saw an ad recently that they were playing. I was playing some casino nearby, and I thought to myself, "I'll bet there isn't an original member."
No.
Because you're going back about 50 years.
Yeah. These are the Imperials. The Marvelettes.
Yeah.
Chesty Morgan.
Oh yeah.
I mean, she was a good act.
Yeah. She was one of the few class acts, as far as females were concerned, that I booked.
Now-
She was big time.
She was a stripper.
You could call her similar to Sally Rand if you go back enough years. She had a lot of class. She was a woman that was making $10,000 a week, $15,000. So she wasn't your ordinary stripper, you know.
Right.
But there's no doubt about
Didn't
it.
she eventually go into film?
No.
Oh, then I'm confusing her with another Chesty Morgan.
Oh yeah, you're the one that run out in the ballpark or something?
Maybe.
No, I don't know. Yeah.
The one, well, okay.
Oh, there were some of the lounge groups. You see, there's the original band.
Yeah.
You see?
The Hawks.
Yeah.
This is the original band.
That's right there.
Did you get that the band started off as Ronnie Hawkins' backup band? Billy, did you catch that?
Yeah.
This is the band. Wish I could-
Yeah. I've got a lot of pictures there. But I have It's unfortunate that I didn't know, because I've got so much stuff here.
Well, wait. We can always do another trip.
Oh.
You know?
Well,
That's the great thing for Von Helm.
Yeah, they're just action shots of.
Wow.
You see, there's history also in 19 Hawkins came up in '58. I had good connections in New York with the major talent offices, because I started out booking the name bands, and I had good connections there. And I told this one friend of mine who was with Associated Booking, Larry Bennett, about the Hawkins group. I said, they're a great group. Anyway, Larry contacted Morris Levy, who was head of Roulette Records, and we arranged an audition. The audition was 4 o'clock. Morris Levy was so taken by the group that he said by 6 o'clock he wanted them that same night to start recording their first album. And then, which we did. Next day we're in Morris Levy's office, and he gets a secretary to call Dick Clark, who had the American Bandstand then, Steve Allen, who had a major show, I forget who else. And they get on the phone, and he's telling them, I signed a new hot act. I want you to put them on your show next week. And we're looking at each other. I want you to put them on the, not saying, do me a favor or something. What we didn't know, of course, we got on those shows. This was all controlled by the mafia, the whole record industry. And Dick Clark, Steve Allen, and this fella here, Alan Freed, he was he was bigger than Dick Clark back then.
Really?
They were under the payola. So that's how it operated back in those days. Yeah.
So you brought a lot of groups into Hamilton.
I brought them all, yeah. Yeah, like who? I brought a lot of groups, but the name bands, you talking about the name band?
Yeah.
No, they'd have to play, wherever, there was no Hamilton place back then.
Right.
So we'd play them wherever we could, such as I opened Kitchener Auditorium in 1956 with, I think it was, Fats Domino had a hot record at the time, Blueberry Hill. I opened the Dundas Arena in about the same time with Louis Armstrong. And I would play at the Armories. I remember Tommy Dorsey and Lionel Hampton. Can you imagine a band playing in the Armories? Well, back then, you know, the kids, we didn't have no television. And nobody danced. There'd be 2,000, 3,000 people there. They're all stuck up in front of the stage, glued to watching the musicians.
Aside from Benny, were there any other Jews?
Jewish?
Aside from Jack
Oh, you
Benny.
talk about Jack Benny. No, not Jack Benny. Benny Goodman.
Oh, Benny Goodman.
Benny Goodman, yeah. Mr. Schiffman told me this story just about 2 months ago. We got talking about the music business, and I happened to bring up Benny Goodman's name. And he says, you know, it's funny, Benny, when he was here, he was, oh boy, Yortzeit. He had a Yortzeit, and he went to the synagogue, and he said after he got saying davening, he was his prayers, he handed whoever was in charge, I think, a $20 bill. And Schiffman said the guy nearly went wild. He never saw $20 in his life. You know, you're talking back in the 40s.
Right.
So that's...
But you also had something to do with Jack Benny.
Yeah, Jack Benny, yeah. I booked him in the Maple Leaf Gardens.
Oh, in Maple Leaf Gardens.
Yeah. It's funny that the night before, Jack Benny played Buffalo, and he and I spent the afternoon at the Hotel Statler where he was staying, and we were talking business all day. He's the only man I've ever seen that shaves with his glasses on. It's like nearsighted. But anyway, when he came to, and the show didn't draw that well, unfortunately. But when he came to Toronto, it was packed. And I remember him standing on stage. In fact, it might have been mentioned in the story. He's standing on a stage and he's evidently looking up what they called in those days the Grays, way up by the roof. And he said, I see an empty seat up there. I'm going to have to talk to Harold Kudlats about that. Yeah. But, there's a...
So you have a lot of stories, a lot of good memories, right?
Yeah. It's
a lot of good memories.
Yeah, a lot of good. I remember I had a band booked. I forget who it was. It could have been Benny Goodwin. Anyway, it was canceled. And there's been a lot of surprises. And then in place of that, they offered me an attraction called Billy Eckstein.
I know the name.
Yeah. Well, Billy, I didn't know him from a load of beans. Anyway, I booked him and we did well. But when you don't expect something, it turns, like with Conway, by being fired out of the job in Washington, at the time he was probably disgusted and downhearted. Little did he know the next booking is going to change his life completely. Yeah. Oh, God, it's...
What was the song again that he wrote here?
Only Make Believe.
He was an incredibly good artist.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he sold at the time more records than any other country artist in the world. I had another story. When I opened Kitchener Auditorium, I was still booking cocktail lounge acts. And one of the places I booked was a hotel in London, Ontario, called the Iroquois Hotel. I invited the owner and whoever he wanted to bring down to Kitchener. One of his friends he brought with him was a fellow called Solly Holliff from London. Solly was in the clothing business at that time in London. And when he came into the Kitchener Auditorium and saw 8,000 screaming people, he said, hell, this is the business for me. So that was it. Years later, years go by, in between the band, at that time it was still Levon and the Hawks. They came back from some trip. I wasn't with them. We flew back to Toronto. They were arrested at Pearson Airport for marijuana. Anyway, we eventually got them off. So one day this year, going back to the story with Holliff, I get a long distance call from where did the operator say? In those days he used to tell you where it's from. From I think Abilene, Texas. Who's on the phone? Solly Holliff. He said, Harold, what did you do to get the band or Levon and the Hawks out of that jam with marijuana? So I told him the circumstances. I says, what in the hell are you calling me from Texas to ask about Levon and the Hawks? Where's the connection? Well, he said, I'll tell you. I'm now managing Johnny Cash. And Johnny was just busted at the Mexican border, and I wanted to know if it's in... So
That's funny.
Yeah. Oh, I'll tell you.
Do you remember wrestling at Barton? Did they have wrestling there?
They probably did, but we had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
No, nothing.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So here you were hanging out with people like the band, and this was like the 60s, the 70s.
Yeah.
It was the height of like the hippie era.
Yeah.
And you at the time were how old?
Well, I guess I'm in just 90.
So what was it like for you? There was a generation gap.
Oh, that was bad because that's about the time the discos came in, and it killed live music to a certain extent. It killed it almost completely for the bars, because there was no place to book some of these bands.
But in those days, when all these young people were doing drugs, these people that you were booking,
Oh yeah.
what was that like for you?
Yeah. No. That was one thing. Mind you, the band, they were with me 40 years, 45 years. I never knew, and I thought I was pretty hip, I never knew that any of them were into drugs. It's almost unbelievable, but it's true. Because these were kids I've known, since they came out of school. But no, there wasn't a town when we were playing one-nighters, no matter what city we were in, there was always somebody would come into the dressing room offering, not selling you, but offering you cocaine, marijuana, you name it. In fact, one year I took my son, he was going to McMaster at the time, on the summer break. I took him with us on tour, and I had to send him back home after a few dates because the temptation there is too great. No, it's sad that what happened to a lot of these people. But here's Alan Freed's show going back, and that would be the 63s, 40, 45 years, and some of them are still going. There's Bo Diddley still going. There's oh God, this guy, Alan Freed, he committed suicide. They were having that payola investigation. The American government was doing it. And then Morris Levy was convicted on something, but he died before he could serve his 10 years. And another story. I was booking acts in Las Vegas, lounge acts. In those days, I was booking at this particular time, downtown, there was a brand new hotel called the Fremont Hotel. And most nightclubs, back then there was only 3 or 4 clubs in Las Vegas. They usually have a revolving stage. When one band is finished, so it meant they hired 2 bands. But on a Monday night, one band is usually off. At that time, I had a band from Toronto called, I've got his picture in here anyway. My band is off on Monday night. In walks the talent scout from Ed Sullivan's show. He catches the other group. He likes them. The kid never looked back to this day. His name was Wayne Newton. And we used to often say, what in the hell would have happened if he'd have come in and saw Glenn Smith and the Four Fables instead of Wayne Newton?
That's right, because your band was off that night.
That's right, yeah. Because back then, there was no dancing when a band, so the groups had to be entertaining groups, and what we call show groups. And you'd see some of these groups that were like a marching band. Everything's done in unison, and it's just a pleasure to watch. But Wayne Newton, he went on.
He was just on TV last night.
Is that right?
He had a heart attack.
Oh.
Yeah, he had a heart attack, but he's recovering now.
It's funny. I got a call, and somebody knocked on my door about 3-4 months ago, and the lady says, "You won't remember me, but we lived across the road from you on East Avenue." She said, "But I promised this fellow that I would track you down." She was telling me her and her husband, who they take a number of cruises each year, were on this cruise in, God knows, someplace down in Italy somewhere. So she said, we went to the nightclub to see the show, and the star of the show was asking people what country they're from. So she said, I put up my hand and said, Canada. And he said, he came over, wanted to know where, and I told him Hamilton. Oh, he said, Hamilton. He said, I played there once at the Grange. These are records that go back mind you, every name band that I booked, I used to get the leader to sign the album cover.
Oh, yeah.
And when I'd come back after the promotion, when we lived on East Avenue, I would throw them in an alcove. And when we left East Avenue, I left the album covers all there.
Oh.
Yeah. No, it's. I don't know if this what I'm saying has anything to do with your project.
Great. It's great stuff. But was there anyone else who was a Jew in the entertainment business?
The only other one that it wasn't in the entertainment. You might call it that, was Sam Hepshire, but he was working for Ken Sobel.
Right.
At CACH, yeah.
Right.
But but the entertainment business, 99% worldwide, was controlled by Jewish people.
Really?
Oh yeah, all the big, all the big gangsters that used to. I remember fellas like out of Chicago had Mutual Entertainment, Bookie Levine, and then there was Associated Booking with Joe Glazerman, and Las Vegas was all Yiddles.
Really?
Yeah, everything. Yeah.
Bugsy.
That was only that didn't straighten out until the time Howard Hughes came in, and then he went from there. It went legitimate. But it was the old story, you know, and it's the same in the music business. It was all Yiddles.
Really?
Yeah. All the booking agencies were Yiddles. Yeah. So.
So did you go to a shul when you were growing up here?
Oh yeah. Oh
Where'd
yeah.
you go?
Yeah. No, I would. No, I never. I never missed. I'd always make sure. I remember somebody had mentioned that we're in Japan on that tour, and I realized, holy geez, Yom Kippur's coming up, and we're in Japan. And so I had them arrange a fast trip, and my wife came right back. Yeah. But as it was, the tour had ended, but we were going to spend a few days there. But I didn't realize it Yom Kippur. Not that I was so religious, but still, you have to do certain things.
So are you born in Hamilton?
No, our whole family is born in Glasgow, Scotland.
Oh.
We used to. My Yiddish name is Jaime, and he used to say he's a Scots Jew. His name is Jaime. How many strikes can he have against him?
No, this is quite wonderful.
How old were you when your family came here?
I was about 5 or 6. Yeah. My parents my mother had sisters here. My father was from Poland or Russia, and my mother was from Poland. I don't know how they met, but they all come to Hamilton. I don't know what brought them here.
What street did you grow up on?
We originally came here on Wellington Street, and then we graduated to Catherine Street, and around the corner was Tackefman and Goldblatt's. That's where they had their original office and their home, and they were the only one with a big veranda. I remember that family. In fact, Marvin was here about 2 months ago, and I bumped into him downstairs. I didn't know at the time that he's a little bit suffering from dementia. Yeah, I didn't realize that, because he was quieter than he usually is. You know, Marvin, you could hear him 7 blocks away, no matter where you are. But I tell you, you talk about, and Marvin's friend, old Cease Levy, they used to be my best, Irving Zucker, my best non-paying customers at the concerts. I could always count on them.
That's my friend Johnny's brother.
I see.
And then, how did Stan Sobel, are you related to the Sobels? Yeah. Stan, he must have had a run-in with Murray Anderson at the old Brant Inn or something. Next thing I know, Stan is asking me he'd like to put up be an angel for some shows. And he was one of the backers with Jack Benny. And he made a deal, unbeknown to me, that if he made over a certain amount of money, he'd give X number of dollars to charity. Well, charity back then was starting at home with me, but he was a great guy. Before that, we had a tour which we lost our shirts on, or he lost a shirt, with a show called Spike Jones. The funniest show you could ever see. But no matter what city, we had about 10 dates. Every city, the crowd is going nuts. And I'm in the box office with my tears coming down my eyes because we're blowing a lot of money. Well, the deal that I had with everybody, all my angels back then, was if we made money, I got a percentage. If we didn't, I wasted my time. So...
That's great. That's great. And so, what are you, like 75, 80?
I'm sorry?
How old are you, like 75?
How old am I now?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We're long gone.
You're more?
I'm past 90.
No. Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, you're marvelous.
Well, aggravation will do it.
Not only aggravation, but you've got a great smile.
Well.
And the music business did a lot for you.
Oh, yeah. Well,
those are good memories.
It
took care
killed
of your
my hearing, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it did. But that's the price you pay.
Yeah, no, but you've got a great smile.
Yeah.
And we want to thank you a lot.
Well, I don't know. I wished I could have helped you a little more.
You helped a lot. You helped an awful lot.
Yeah.
That's great stuff.
Yeah.
That's great stuff.
I would have gone into more detail if I'd had a chance to think things out.
Well, if we need more detail, we're coming back to you. You are our man.
All right. Yeah, because there were so many firsts that I did for people in the music business that things like, I remember once getting a call and the kid on the other phone is crying. He said, Harold, some agent sent us on this job up to Port Arthur, which is now called Thunder Bay. And there's no job. We have no money. Can you help us out and send me? I said, sure. I sent him $50. Back then it was a lot of money. Years later, I'm in New York, and I look in the paper and I see Blood, Sweat, and Tears ready to go to Russia, Russian tour. Well, the kid that I sent the money to was David Clayton Thomas. So I call up the agent's office and I said, is Dave there? And he said, yeah. Dave gets on the phone. I said, Dave, I'm coming right over. I go over. Now remember, I know the history of these kids when they started, penniless, families on welfare. So I come over and I remind Dave of the incident. Oh, he says, I completely forgot about it, Colonel. Those days they're calling me Colonel.
Why Colonel?
Because at the time, Hawkins was getting big. Elvis Presley had a colonel.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, if Elvis has got a colonel, we got to have one. So that's when Colonel came in. So anyway, David Clayton Thomas, he opens up his wallet, and it's stuffed with $100 bills. So he gives me what I advanced him, which was only 50. And I said, Dave, are you looking after your money? Don't worry, everything's great. Got everything under control. Well, it wasn't till a few years later that I see in the paper where he declared bankruptcy, you know, along with people like Wayne Newton, who makes $30 million a year, but Wayne declared bankruptcy.
Really?
Oh yeah. He was saved by going to jail because the judge's wife was a great fan of his, and he got off, yeah. But you see, these entertainers, it doesn't make any difference if they're making 1,000 or 10,000, they're spending 11,000. They're always over. And they think this gravy train is going to go on forever. And you can't talk to them. They need what they actually need, but they don't want to spend a lot of them don't want to spend the money or don't trust them. They need a good advisor, a good lawyer, and a good accountant.